Hi everyone, this is my discussion for the Birch Bark House. Starting off, Edric's Birch Bark House does meet the considerations and standards presented by our text. This book has cultural details that are accurate and not stereotypical. We see differences in the characters like Old Tallow, who is strong, and Omakias's grandmother, who is medicinal and healing. There is a lot of dimension with the characters and their strengths and weaknesses, which shows that this isn't a single story. The book offers a positive experience for young readers to learn about Native American culture because it's entertaining and educational through its accuracy. The readers learn about their culture through the food that they eat, their religion, how they survived, and the devastation of smallpox, which is all true in history. Moving on, the Birch Bark House shows the perspectives of the Native Americans and how many of them were exposed to the disease and died as a result of the integration of the manifest destiny. And this took away the culture and the legacy of the Native Americans. And it's important that we recognize and honor the Native Americans because of how they were treated in the past. Next, with the questions that I chose, the first question I chose to answer was about why the author wrote The Girl from the Spirit Island. First of all, a prologue is an opening to a story, which usually gives some background information. And the reason why I think the author included this story about the girl from Spirit Island is to kind of foreshadow what was happening in later in the story, which did end up happening. The clues that I noticed from the very beginning were the differences between Angeline and Omakias, because Angeline is kind of known for being beautiful and physically attractive, whereas Omakias never really mentions her looks. But if they were sisters, you would assume that they would look similar. And then also the relationship between Omakias and Old Tallow, which they had a very strong relationship as compared to Old Tallow, who's known as being cold and not really having relationships with anybody or being able to keep a husband. But still there is that bond between the two of them, which kind of showed me that Old Tallow was the one who rescued her from the island and gave her a better life, which did end up being true. And then lastly, when smallpox came and raided the village, Omakias never got sick. And when the men found that baby on the island, they had known that everyone else had died from the smallpox. So because she was exposed to smallpox when she was younger, she must have built immunity. So then when it came the second time, she was already immune and was able to survive it. Next was the question that I chose was about the name givers. I think that they couldn't find a name for Niwo because the spirits knew that he would be coming back to the spirit world and wouldn't need a human name. And early in the story, Omakias, her grandmother, stated that babies are spirits and that if they are not pleased, they can go back to the spirit world. And that is what happened because he got sick and wasn't able to survive. So he wouldn't have needed a name because he wouldn't have grown up. I think that Angeline doesn't have a Native American name because her dad is not full Native American. I think that name could have been passed down from his other side of his heritage. Possibly white, could have been passed down from maybe his mother. We don't really know exactly the information about Angeline, but I did notice that she has a very American name, whereas everyone else has these Native American names. For me, when my mom was pregnant with me and she heard the name Sabrina, she started to hear bells. And she believed that it was her mother who had passed, telling her to name me that. And she feels very strongly about that today. She 100% believes that was my grandmother's spirit talking to her when she was pregnant with me. My mom picked our first names, and most of them were from the Bible. And then my dad chose our middle names, which are all Cambodian words. Mine is Chanterie, which is a flower, and my sister's is Chandi, which is butterfly in Cambodian. And the way my mom named me was like the Ojibwe's process because she felt like a spirit was talking to her. Lastly, the picture book that I really enjoyed this week was The Last Stop on Market Street. It has diversity in race, abilities, and social class. It is a culturally neutral book that shows how important diversity is. I also think it's more relatable for a child to open up a book and see a diverse community, especially where we live, because we do have a population that has a lot of different races, and then we also, of course, observe people in different social classes, different abilities. So it is a good opportunity for a parent and a child to talk about diversity, especially when it's in a picture book form, whereas something that's more age appropriate. And yeah, that's all I have for this week. Hope you all are staying safe. Thank you.